I'm Martin Forts. Welcome back to this Caregivers channel. As you have seen in all of these presentations that we have done over time, that caregiving falls into many different categories. Today, we're going to be talking about care for injuries. The caregiving for the injured really requires very close attention to what the working professionals, that is doctors and therapists, have told you about the weight-bearing status of the individual. So clearly we're focused on lower limbs, left leg, right leg. Whichever one has been injured and is recovering, we want to be clearly aware of the weight-bearing status. It could be no weight on it. It could be toe touch, which is very light, like stepping on an egg. Or it could be full weight bearing, where the injury is still healing, but the doctor really wants them to put some pressure on that area for recovery. If your injury care involves a return from the hospital or from a rehab facility, you will probably have already learned a great deal about how to care for that individual. This will be a refresher, and it will also help with reminding you that there are different ways to approach your care. Now, the care here is also trumped by anything you have already been taught at the hospital. But we're talking about it from an in-home perspective, so there may be some things that you'll learn here that maybe wasn't touched on at all, or maybe just a little and you didn't quite get it. Today we're not going to go into a lot about equipment. We did a segment on that, and I would refer you to that for any equipment education. Also, we're not going to talk too much about transfers because, again, we've talked about that in my caregiving story, so go back and take a look at that video presentation. Today we're simply going to remind you of some of the tips that you have already learned or need to know while caring for someone in the home. One of the things I do want to go over from our equipment segment is obstacles. Before that person comes home, be sure to look around the house and see what chairs might be in the way, what pathways they'll be traveling, how things look from the perspective of rugs on the floor or anything else. And be very cognizant of bringing equipment that is needed, like, say, for example, a bedside commode, close by so that that individual doesn't have to do a lot of maneuvering, or you don't have to do a lot of maneuvering at the time of need. Before we cover a couple of techniques, I want to go into a little bit about the issue of pain and how it affects progress. The person has been in pain and has had to manage that pain. Now, pain is different for every individual. Some thresholds are lower, some thresholds are higher. The one thing I want to caution you about as a caregiver is not to judge, to deal with them with support and to deal with them with love. And in the final analysis, be the encourager they may need. You, over a short period of time, may learn very quickly that what we're dealing more with is the fear of pain as opposed to pain itself. Know the difference between these two, but again, be careful in judging so that you are more of an encourager than an impediment to making the progress that really you both want to see with this type of caregiving. Before we start with our tips, remember the weight-bearing status is non-negotiable. We do not want to cause any injury to the recovering area. That said, we're going to start our tips with the use of a cane. Assuming a right leg affected problem, we're going to demonstrate the proper use of the cane. First, you want to lead with the cane about 2 inches ahead of you, and then using the cane for strength and balance, you want to bring the injured leg forward and then the good leg. Again, it's going to be cane first, injured leg forward, and then the strong leg following. The concept for stairs is basically the same all the time. The good leg goes first going upstairs, the injured leg goes first coming downstairs. Again, assuming a right leg injury here, holding on to the rail with one or both hands, it's the good leg goes up first, followed by the injured leg. So now we are coming downstairs, holding on to the rail. We're going to lead with the injured leg and then bring the strong leg afterwards. Now, the concept we just demonstrated on the use of the cane would also apply to the use of the walker. That is, the walker goes out a couple of inches or 3 in front of you, followed by the injured leg and then the strong leg. You're going to be using that walker for strength and balance as you bring forward that injured leg, followed by the strong leg. The height of your walker or your rollator is going to be important, even your cane. So we want to be sure that that is correct. You want a slight bend in the elbow for the use of these items. And if you are coming home from a hospital, or your loved one, the person you're caring for, is coming home from a rehab facility, more than likely they've already been measured for these items. But a lot of times equipment is shipped to the home and you'll have to do the proper measurements. Again, remember that shoes will affect this. So if you're in your home in slippers or other items that are soft and smaller in height than regular wearing shoes, that will affect the height of your walker. So be careful, know all of these issues, and have these adjusted appropriately. You can always call back to your therapist for their help and instruction in this matter. One final tip on the use of stairs that we didn't demonstrate, and that is the fact that when in doubt, the person you're caring for can always sit on the stairs. Assuming that they have good upper body strength and there are no impediments there, they can use their arms as support as they use the good leg to push up one riser at a time, getting up to the stairs. I would advise to have rest periods in between if necessary, but this will also be an effective way to get up and to get downstairs. So that's it for our tips on caring for the injured. Remember, no judging. Pain thresholds are different for all of us, so we want to be sure that we're caring with love and, of course, encouragement. Next week we'll be talking about Contracture Care. We'll be defining it and have some tips on how to handle it. Contracture, in short, is the limiting of range of motion because of stiffening of muscles and joints. This usually involves those who have been under care for a long time, particularly folks, for example, who are bedridden. Like this channel, recommend it to others. Make sure they subscribe. I look forward to being with you next Friday. Hit that like button. Leave your comments. I want to hear from you. I've been getting some, and thank you for that, and love responding to them. Again, see you next Friday. In the meantime, have a blessed week.